But anyhow, back to my story, how I made 2,190 days of NoFap. And back to my bad illustration. I saw this gentleman, like I said, many, many years ago, and I was so blown away. I was like, wow, wow, how did this guy do that? And I really admired that look, and I wanted that look for myself also. However, I did not know at the time genetics was involved and all of this was involved, and everybody was not capable of growing a beard. But at the time, I was much younger also. So anyhow, when I decided to attempt this bed, uh, I went to my barber. And yes, this is all associated with how I achieved the 2,190 days no fap. So again, I went to my barber and I told my barber that I wanted this look. And I actually drew it on the paper. I remember drawing it down on the paper how, I wanted this chisel look, if I may say. And I kept styling my bed a little bit more too to get that look, that V-table look. However, that was the look that I wanted. But so I told him. And so I started my beard journey. I started to grow my beard. And I went to the barber every week. Every week I went to the barber trying to achieve this big beard look with this V taper that I saw this gentleman had. So I went to the barber and I told the barber that I wanted this look, this V taper look. And at the time I was more manicured, if I may say. And so I started my beard journey every week going to the barber, and this gentleman would cut my beard into this look that I wanted, and it would be extremely more defined than this. In fact, back in the day, they used to call me Pretty Boy Floyd also because I was extremely immaculate, all lined up and so forth. But anyhow, with that being said, uh, I told him what I wanted, and he started the process of cutting me in design and into this look. And weeks went by. I went to the barber every day, not every day, I'm sorry, every week. Months went by, a year went by. The beard was growing. It was growing somewhat. It was growing, but and I was somewhat happy. I was happy with the look, but I didn't know any better at the time. I didn't know, you know, why my beard was not necessarily growing at the speed or the rate that I really wanted. So anyhow, years later, YouTube came about, and I started to look online in reference to having a big bed. And there was still only a few guys that promoted having a big bed at the time. But I watched everything I could, and my bed was nowhere like it is today. Nowhere. It was extremely, like I said, it was not a full bed. It was just all lined up, and it had the mouthpiece was all, pencil-like type thing, But again, it was not what it is today. So again, but this went on for some time. Every week I would go to the barber. And I would spend this money, and I would. So let's say, for example, giving you guys example, 3 years into this bad thing, I grew 3 inches. I'm just saying 3 inches of bad in 3 years. And after again going on YouTube and looking at channels and so forth, I came across this gentleman who inspired me in such a way that I could not believe that I was making such a huge mistake when I wanted to grow my beard. So what I found out was this gentleman said that the secret to growing a big beard, that was the video topic, that was the topic of the video, the secret to growing a big beard. And when I saw this video, I said, hey, this got to be the video that I need to watch because this has to be the secret. Looking at this guy, his beard looks like, he looks like Moses, you know. And again, like I said, everyone, this is related to how I made it to be 2,190 days no fap. And also, something I noticed with my part two video, for those who have watched my part two video, uh, some people might wonder why I might be looking away from the camera somewhat. I'm actually staring in the sun, and the sun is actually uh, in front of me, so it's kind of squinting my eyes. And for those of you that might not know, this location is actually a very historical location, located uh, on the Caribbean islands of the Bahamas, the beautiful islands of the Bahamas. This location is called Montague Beach, and this is actually, like I said, an historical location because of this was a place, and this is not part of the video, but I'm just kind of rambling on right now to give you guys some more information. So I'm moving away to the angle, and if you look behind me, you will see, hopefully, you will see that there is there is a a stone building, if I may. I hopefully that's in the view. I think that should be in the view. I'm gonna come out the view just to get a picture of this building, uh, and hopefully the sun again is really bright here. But anyhow, hopefully you could get a view. And way over there, where my hand is, if you see my hand pointing, there's Atlantis over there, the historical Atlantis, and there's only one, there's two now. I think the second one is in Dubai, and across the street over there is Paradise Island. Because for those who might be wondering where these videos are taken, that's what's really going on. I am on Montague Beach again, across the street where I'm pointing. Uh, I'm pointing over there. That's Paradise Island, and again, somewhere over there is Atlantis. If you maybe expand the screen, you'll see the Atlantis. And I think the second Atlantis is in Dubai. So, but anyhow, I'm on the Caribbean island of the Bahamas, and this is a historical location. Again, if you look back and you see there's a building where there's some people sitting down, a block stone building, that is actually a fort. That is a fort, whereas back in the day, historically, there were pirates. Literally, there were pirates that came to the Bahama Islands, and they tried to, I guess, take over and whatever they tried to do. But we were under the Commonwealth, the British Commonwealth of the Bahamas, of England, uh, and we gained our independence not so long ago in 1973. So the Bahamas is a very, very young nation, independent-wise, and but it also is a major tourism destination. A lot of sun, sand, and sea and beauty. But anyhow, getting back to the video, I'm going to put myself back into the screen right now. So, with that being said, uh, I was doing this for about 3 years, and like I said, I saw a gentleman. He came on the YouTube channel, and he said that the secret of growing a big beard, and I believed him very much because I saw that this gentleman had a beard. Like I said, he reminded me of Moses at the time, and so I had to believe whatever he said. But his answer was, believe it or not, he said that, wait for it now, guys. I know you guys want to hear this answer. So go for those guys who are considering growing a beard or want to grow a beard. Uh, what he said was mind-boggling, to say the least, because I couldn't believe all of this time I was growing my beard, getting my beard cut into this style that I wanted again, this V taper, years and years, and I only had 3 inches of beard. And he said the answer was, to grow a big beard, the secret is to not cut it. Yes, you heard me right. The secret to growing a big beard is to not cut the beard. So I felt extremely stupid to see that all this time I wanted to have a bed, a big bed, and I wondered why the bed would not grow. And the gentleman said that what most guys do is they try to cut their way into having a big bed. They think that they would let it grow and then they would trim it, and then they would let it grow and they would trim it, and they would trim and trim, and they would not ever come to having a big beard because all they do is trim. And that was game changing. That was a game changer for me because now I realize this gentleman that I was going to, who was starting my bed all of these years, and I was paying. I mean, I was not just going to some cheap barber. I was going to actual a saloon. I was getting a hot towel and all this stuff put on my face professionally and all that, razor, straight razor and all that. It was not some bogus uh, barber off the street. And because again, they call me Triple P, Pimp, Prophet, and Priest. At the time, I was extremely absorbed into my appearance, and a part of my appearance was my facial uh, maintenance. Uh, so anyhow, with that being said, this gentleman, he didn't even know, he did not, either he knew or he just wanted the money, but he failed to tell me that, hey, what you should do is you should discontinue cutting your bed so frequently, and you should come back and you should see me only X amount of weeks or X amount of months, or come back every 6 months and we will trim it up, and come back every, whatever, 9 months to a year, then we'll cut it. And that's what he did. He failed to tell me that the secret was to simply not cut the bed. So, with that being said, after that, my journey became not cutting the bed. And that also, again, which is also related to how I made it to go 2,190 days of NoFap. Because during the time when I decided not to cut the bed, that is when I experienced extreme discomfort. Some parts of my face itched a lot. The parts that I was normally shaven, so my skin was not actually used to having uh, that much hair on my face. And then there was sometimes every now and then there would be some ingrown hair or whatever, because the hair was growing back, may not be pointing in the right direction, because I did not allow my bed to grow naturally for some time. But anyhow, for those of you who have been trying to grow a bed, and you guys will know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to ingrown hair and having the itchy face and all of that. And plus, the image is not so appealing, because you would go to some caveman look, and that is not necessarily acceptable in many cases, be it for employment or also be it for a relationship. Even your female, a wife or girlfriend, may discourage you from going a big bed as well. So the moral of that story was the key to NoFap. There are many guys on YouTube talking about 90 days, 60 days, 30 days achievements, which is great, which is very, very great. You have to start somewhere. And the reason I said 90 days, 60 days, or whatever the case may be, is because we know that it takes 30, 60, or sometimes 90 days for a habit to be formed. And just like the way you were programmed to uh, masturbate all of these years of your life, it is also going to take a new mental transition of you not masturbating. So the mind is going to have to take some time to take on this new challenge. And like I said, it will not become habit at least until 90 days. Just like trying to quit any other bad habit, smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol, whatever else may be your negative vices, it will take some time. But the good thing about NoFap is also a spiritual journey that would lead you into other disciplines, because when you take on a NoFap journey, you will actually start to develop more discipline because of actually reducing your bad habits, and that one bad habit reduction could snowball and will actually snowball and go into uh, other areas of your life that you may have been wanting to quit or you may have been wanting to stop. So taking on that journey of NoFap is actually a very, very good idea. It's an excellent start uh, to start your journey off, your spiritual journey, because, like I said, if you master one bad habit, it is most likely that your self confidence will build, and your self worth will build, your self value will build, and you will also become more self aware of pretty much everything that you do to yourself, because masturbation is an actual self behavior. I would almost say it's more of a self-affliction behavior. And for those of you guys, it's very strange for you guys who've seen part two or part three video. There was a stingray in the video, and there he came back again. For those of you guys who have not seen him, you see he's back again. He or she, I'm not sure. Right there. Hopefully you guys could see it. It's right there, and this is a sign because it's this. I don't know if it's the same stingray, but it's actually it looks like the same stingray with black and white spots. So hopefully he comes closer, and he are able to see him him or she a lot clearer. So like I said again, once again, uh, the taking on the challenge of NoFap will develop more discipline, and that will snowball into other areas that you could actually apply that same discipline to. If you wanted to quit smoking, again, I don't know if you guys see it, it's right there. Hopefully, you can see it. He's look like he's not coming back uh, around this time, but it's just interesting that in I thought part three. I think it was part three. Oh, it's coming to the top now. See, it's coming to the top somewhat. I don't know if you see it. It's coming back. I think hopefully it comes back around. Maybe not. But anyhow, he's famous because it's the second time for the second video. And again, for those of you who may not be aware, this is also. I'm sorry I failed to mention that this is actually a uh, part two. Yes, this is part two of the introduction, Seven Seals, Astrology, Prophetics video. Just giving you guys a very brief idea of who I am, a little about me, some history, and so forth and so on. So, with that being said, once again, NoFap, it was actually the catalyst that allowed me to build more confidence. And then I practiced the semen retention also. I was practicing those simultaneously, and but I still had many bad habits. I still smoked smoked cigarettes and stuff like that on the down low. No one really knew I smoked cigarettes because I was ashamed and I didn't feel like it was a good habit. And but I did it anyhow. I still drank, and but it was because of the NoFap, partly because of the NoFap. It actually helped me to build more self confidence, to develop the skills that I needed to discard those other bad habits. And so, once again, it would take at least 90 days, 30 to 90 days, and take each day one day at a time. You don't have the room is not built in a day, so don't feel like, hey, 2,000, 2,190 days like me. No, I did that for a reason. I was able to do it because, hey, I had a bad habit, and to be honest with you, masturbation is quite natural, it's quite normal. And according to statistics, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I think the statistics is 91, I think 91% males who have admitted to masturbation. And I think it's like 78 women, female, who have admitted to masturbation frequently also. And I think there was also a major study done sometime back in America, and it says that at least 84% of the individuals, be it male and female, masturbate. So masturbation is a very natural and normal phenomenon. However, at the same time, it can become extremely addictive because of the psychological and chemical distributions of what happens when we masturbate. So again, when we masturbate, there is chemicals that is released from the brain, such as dopamine, feelings that uh, deals with rewards, and you feel at the time that you may feel like, okay, I have arrived, I've just had sex, because the brain does not know. Most people are not aware that the brain does not know when you masturbate or and you have an ejaculation versus having real sex with a real human being. No one, the brain does not know the difference. So with that being said, the brain assumes that you are an alpha male just constantly procreating because procreation is the main key to evolution. One of the most major focuses in evolution is to procreate. So the body automatically sends a signal to the brain and it says that yes, this individual has arrived. They are extremely successful because they are masturbating just about every day. So, with that being said, back to my personal experience, I could speak for myself that I have started to masturbate at a very young age, and I became also addicted. And the amazing thing about masturbation is I don't most men would not admit, most women would not admit, but it's extremely, the numbers are much greater with men. And I remember back in the day having multiple, because again, they call me Triple P, Pimp Prophet Priest. And then, like I said before, for those of you who have not watched part one, please go ahead and watch part one. Part one is talking about my how I became, how I got the name Triple P, how that name was bestowed upon me because of having the traits and the characteristics and the history of being a pimp, prophet, and priest. So, with that being said, looking back, I remember having this is just about the power of masturbation. I remember having girlfriends and still masturbated. I remember at the peak of my game having rotations, and at some point I still masturbated. And I remember at some point it was such an addiction. This is before I knew how damaging it was. I remember using masturbation as a tool to whereas before I have sex, and I'm sure I am not the only male that this does this. I'm sure men today do this because most men know that the first round, what we call the first round, uh, that may be not so powerful, and that may be somewhat a weak round, and we may not be so strong, and we might ejaculate uh, prematurely because of being too excited or not having the actual muscle control and breath control that is needed to control ejaculation. So most men, again, like myself, back in the day, before I would sleep with a girl, especially the first time I slept with a girl, sometimes, not all the time, but I remember having a stage fright, wanting to perform my very best, and I said to myself, what better way to perform my best than to go and masturbate and bust one round before I actually have sex? Because I know the second round will be a lot more powerful. At least I would last a lot longer, if I may say. And most men might not admit this, but I'm sure millions or billions of men all across the world have done this before, have masturbated before they actually had sex, thinking that this would be a tool to help them with their longevity. But actuality, it actually may have been more damaging than good because the second round, you may have not had the same potency of erection status that you once had with the first round. So with that being said, masturbation also is again, like I said, very addictive and would be classified also as having a sexual addiction. Pornography has caused so much damage throughout history for many relationships, many men who have chosen to use masturbation as a tool and have actually diminished their desire for having sex with females and in natural relationships as well. Some men have masturbated to such a degree that whereas when there's time for them to perform and have sex naturally with a human being, a female, they have all sorts of complications. And this is not hearsay, this is not a myth, this is actually a real thing because there are therapists that help individuals uh, deal with these impotency problems because of masturbation and having to have unnatural expectations. Because pornography also dulls the sensory uh, apparatus of the male mind, because when you watch porn, you see a lot of unnatural figures, a lot of unnatural women. You see even men that's extremely unnatural in size, and you may feel psychologically inferior, and you might end up developing self-esteem issues and wondering why I don't look this way. Whether you are male or female, you can develop these psychological issues because you think that you should be looking a certain way and you should be having these physical attributes, when in all actuality, a lot of these attributes may not be natural, and some of these individuals may just be so naturally gifted in these areas that they would make uh, put Barbie doll to shame. So with that being said, once again, masturbation is a very, very serious problem, and most men do not know how serious it is, because once again, we devalue ourselves and not know, because we just become addicted to the feeling, and that itself gives us a false sense of confidence, and you feel like anytime you need a dopamine hit, you could go ahead and you could masturbate, and that takes away your drive, that takes away ambition, that takes away your ability to actually go out and find a real girl, because you feel like you feel like you have already achieved the most greatest achievement there is, which is procreation. But in all actuality, you did not procreate with anybody. You procreated with your hand, or you procreated with a towel or a sock, or whatever the case may be. You procreated with Jergens lotion, if I may say. But anyhow, so, like I said, back to myself, it took me some time to overcome that addiction also as well. So, masturbation is very natural for be it male and female. However, when it comes to a point to where it is now interfering with your relationships, with your intimacy, and things of that sort, it's best that you seek help, or you consult or confide in a friend or someone who would be able to maybe give you some advice or help to encourage you, or give me a call, or whatever the case may be, because I too am also a drug and alcohol counselor, and that is one of the first places that I found out about this dopamine and these neurotransmitters, these serotonin and uh, serotonin. Uh, so my mind is blank right now, because there's a big party going on across the street. Once again, I don't know. You might not see too well, but anyhow, the dopamine rushes that we get during masturbation is pretty much very, very addictive. And then it's a reason why nobody masturbates openly. It's not a coincidence that masturbation is something happens uh, that happens in public. Most individuals masturbate uh, in private. So if it was natural and it was normal, most individuals would be masturbating in front of their relationships, their partners, their wives, and their husbands. But it's not. So with that being said, this is a very, very long video. This is again part two of a part three introduction series for the 7 series astrology prophetics video. But this is just a very brief recap on NoFap, and I will be going into much more detail, much more detail as time go on. I'm going to talk about these subjects again and again and again and again. So again, astrology is not just a one subject matter. So there will be a lot of sexual topics, a lot of relationship topics, romance, and things of that nature, and definitely masturbation and sex will be included. So with that being said, I cannot cover all of the topics in reference to NoFap, but I will let you guys know. Like I said, it took me some time actually being in relationships and still masturbated. Uh, having rotations and still masturbated. So that should give you guys an idea how addictive it is. And most men would not admit, most women may not admit, especially men, they would not admit, they would not tell their wife or their girlfriend that they masturbate because or their wife or girlfriend would not tell their uh, boyfriends or husband that they masturbate because it may make the individual feel bad, like they're not performing or they may not be living up to standards. So, with that being said, I think that I've said enough in reference to this topic for now. But again, the moral of that bad story is you just can't cut the bed. So, in reference to NoFap, you just have to stop masturbating. One day at a time, you have to take one day at a time. You cannot try the shortcut and say, I'm going to miss today, do it tomorrow, miss today, do it tomorrow. No, you have to bite the bullet and actually, and as time goes on, it will get easier. I promise you, it will get easier. And when you pull that off, your confidence will also rise and you will be able to use that confidence, and that will go inside your confidence box as a token, and you can now apply that confidence to other areas of your life, other areas, because again, it also has a snowball positive effect. So with that being said, I will end this part 3 video. And for those of you guys who have stuck around this far and this long, thank you, thank you, thank you. I thank you very much for watching this far. I really do appreciate it. And please smash the like and subscribe button and leave a comment if there's anything that I may said that have uh, brought some interest to your attention, or there's some other area of NoFap, other question that you may be interested in knowing. Please feel free, leave a comment, like, share. Again, this is just our second video, uh, part 2. Again, there's going to be part 1, part 2, and part 3. And I assure you, as soon as those videos, these introduction videos are done, I'm going to get into more and more and more deeper detail and a lot more astrology topics as well. But again, because of astrology being a holistic subject, I am not limited to just, one thing. So that is why I will pretty much be sharing information on from a holistic perspective. So once again, for the final time, thank you, thank you, thank you. I thank each and every one of you for watching this far. And please like, share, subscribe, and join my channel. And I'm going to try my very best to at least make one video a week. And my goal is to make these videos unedited and uncut. So any little thing in the video, whereas I had to move the camera around, I'm not going to edit it. That's going to be what it is. It's going to be what it is. So again, thank you. I cannot thank you. I cannot stress that enough. Go ahead, like the channel, like the video, subscribe to the channel so when new videos are released, you guys will be the first on the list to get those videos. So now ending on a more positive astrological note, may the stars shine brightly on you always. And may the planets work in your favor always as well. Triple P. And I'm out. Oh.